What's up guys, and welcome back to Tyrone's Exotic. So today we're going to talk about bearded dragons brumation. Now in this video I'm going to talk about what to do when your bearded dragon is going into brumation, or if you want to put them in brumation, and how to make sure they're okay during this process. Now I've done tons of research, and in fact this is my first time my bearded dragons both are going into brumation. I think maybe Prince here has done it before and I wasn't too much aware of it. I just recently, probably about 8 months now, have started looking into it and the science, because I think he went in brumation before, but luckily I didn't bother him much or anything. He pretty much slept. So anyway, for the first time my bearded dragons decided to go into brumation. I have one already basically fully in brumation right now, and he's going into brumation. So I'm going to talk about how to mimic the wild, as if it was in the wild and they were going into brumation. I'm gonna do the same thing what happened in the wild in captivity. So what I do is, well, let's talk about bearded dragons going into brumation. So I noticed that my bearded dragon, Badass, has been very lethargic, not moving much, not eating in the same spot, not too much eating or anything. So she would just stay in the spot here and just kind of like doze off. So I figured, okay, she's getting ready to go into brumation. So what I do is gradually, like if in the wild, I will lower the UVB wattage. So it's a 14% Arcadia. I moved it to a 6%. So for about 3 to 4 days, I'll start lowering the light. I took out the heat, which is only today. I took it out and it was at 100. I put it to 50. And I noticed that she still wasn't coming out. She still wasn't interested in the heat or the UVB. So what I do is, now I will keep the 6% on, took out the 12%, I keep the 6% on for about a couple of hours. So around 4 or 5 in the night, I'll turn it off. I've recently turned it off because I have that UVB light, which is 6% on top of here. But it makes no sense, because once they're completely in brumation, you might as well just turn off everything. I put a little blanket over. Make sure they have completely used the bathroom before you get ready to turn off everything. I know some people keep the lights on just in case they wake up, but if your bearded dragon is completely knocked out and you've checked on it a couple of times too, probably like within 3 weeks, you check every once a week and they're not moving and coming out, but you checked and they're asleep and they're perfectly in deep brumation, which is deep sleep. Oh, and by the way, brumation is another word for hibernation. Is when your bearded dragon goes into sleep. Everything shuts off, immune shuts off, everything. It goes into like a deep sleep. And you know, bearded dragons are one of the reptiles that go into brumation. So yeah, so I took out the 14%, moved it to 6, kept it on for a couple of hours, turned it off if she's not interested, as well as the heat. She's completely in brumation, so I'm just going to cut everything off by the end of the week. Keep it on low just in case she's interested. If she is fully interested and completely awake and not going into brumation, for some, reason she just decided not to, then I'll put back the 14%, put back the regular heat, bulb light, and such and such and such. So let me show you. Eyes are closed, completely asleep, in brumation, completely. And there's nothing I could do to stop her, because I live in New York. So she's only about 8-9 months, but if the biological clock is what it is, you cannot go against that. I would highly recommend you not trying to take them out of brumation, because you can give them a shock and really mess up their clock. So it's best to let them go in brumation. Just do your best and keeping them safe and doing everything properly. As I said before, I like to mimic how it would naturally happen in the wild, which is dimming everything week by week and then completely shutting it off when they're completely in brumation. Brumation. So as you can see, she's completely asleep. I'll try to get some shots so you can't see it, but as I showed you before, she is completely knocked out. You see, completely knocked out. They would like the little blanket, just put a little blanket over them so they stay in complete darkness. If you can't get their enclosure into a room in complete darkness, I recommend you just do that. Just check on them once a week to make sure that they're okay. Maybe give them some water. I wouldn't recommend you taking them completely out, soaking them in a bath or anything, because that can potentially wake them up, especially if they're in a deep sleep. Just let them sleep. If you check and they're moving around, probably little eyes open, then I would say go ahead, give some water. But not to wake them up out of that sleep to give them water. That can put them into a deep shock. Now, as you can see over here, my second bearded dragon is completely, he is completely knocked out, and I did the same thing. Turned off his UVB, since that's a UVB and UVA, and kept it on as dimmed, so just in case he decides, hey, I don't want to brumate, I want to be up, so he has the light. I will, as I'm going to do with Badass, which I probably did because she's completely in Brumation, I'm going to turn the lights off by the end of the week if she's in a deep sleep. He in a deep sleep. As you can see, he's completely knocked out. So I'm most likely about to turn these lights off because it's about that time. And tomorrow I'll keep them on by Friday if nobody decides to get up and no one is using the UVB, the heat lamp, and they're completely knocked out like this, then I will go ahead and completely turn off the lights. But I wouldn't recommend you say, okay, they're asleep, let me just cut everything completely off and put them in the dark. That I wouldn't recommend. I recommend you do it gradually as if it was in the wild. The UVB during winter gets lower and lower, so does the lights. They come on probably at 6 in the morning, and their lights will completely be out. Well, the sun will go down around 5 or 4 in the winter. So I do the same thing as it would happen in the wild, instead of just saying, okay, they're Bruming, let me just go and turn off everything completely. That's naturally not how it happens in the wild. In fact, the lights will actually still come and go, because it doesn't stop sunsetting and sunrise. UVB doesn't fade. So if you do want to go ahead and keep the UVB on low and keep the light on low and just turn it off when the sun goes down, you can also do that as well. But as I said before, when they're completely in Brumation and not opening their eyes, just breathing, not moving, completely asleep, I just will advise you just go ahead and turn it off and just keep checking on them once a week just to make sure everything's okay. So because they, you don't want to waste the light bulbs, you don't want to, have the necessary heat on if it's supposed to be cold, So yeah, I think that way will work best. As I said, only if they're in complete Brumation. If their eyes are open and they just like dozing off, keep everything on low until they completely go into sleep. But if you see that their eyes are open and they're moving around, then most likely they're not going into Brumation. May just be a little tired, or might be something else that you should get checked out. If you know your bearded dragon very well and you know what it is, then handle the problem. But if you're not sure if it's Brumation or if your animal is sick, I advise you to take your animal into a vet and monitor them really good. But I've had my bearded dragons for now 2 years. This prince I got as a rescue, but I've had him for over a year now, and everything has been completely fine. None of my animals have been sick before. I'm really big on, if you can't give the animal the care that they would have in the wild, not to have an animal. That's kind of where I live by. This is a temporary setup if you check my last video, because I had to remove him out. So this is going to be turned into a bioactive, and it is going to mimic the wild. I think that's the best kind of care you can give to these animals in captivity. I don't want them to just be living. I want them to be thriving as if they were in the wild without predators. Okay, so as you can see, completely knocked out. asleep. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the lights and stuff. But that's how I have done my research and what I have known to be the most accurate. And that's basically just slowly getting them into the process. Don't just right away cut off the lights or anything like that. You know, take your time as if it was in the wild. Let the sun go down where it's supposed to go down, come up when it's supposed to come up, lower the UVB, lower the heat, and they eventually will go straight into brumation. And same goes as if you want to put them in brumation. There has been no study that says that you can't, that putting your bearded dragon in brumation is unhealthy. I actually think it's the most beneficial thing you can do, because again, in the wild, bearded dragons go into brumation. The seasons change, and this is what they do in the wild. This is what keeps them alive, keeps them going. This is what they do. It's kind of sounds ridiculous to have them in captivity and think that, hey, they don't need to go in brumation because they're in captivity. They're still animals. They're still going to biologically go with their clock. You can try to prevent it by keeping the heat and everything consistent, but some bearded dragons will listen to their biological clock and they will go into brumation. Let me get you a better lighting so you can see just how asleep. Okay, yeah. She's like, what are you doing, dude? I know you see me sleeping here. Sorry, I'm fixing the light. Yeah, she looks like, what the fuck? I'm just gonna put that back over. But yeah, so if you want to put them in brumation every 2 years or so, or every year, you could. I think it's really beneficial for their health, and it's nothing like going against nature. I wouldn't recommend you go against nature. Nature knows what's best. Our job as animal lovers is to mimic the same as in the wild without the predators. That's the best you can give to them. But this also will be bioactive. Like I said, I moved into his little enclosure, temporary, how it looks for now, until I get the bioactive setup for both of them. But yeah, so that's it for putting your animals into brumation the natural way they would in the wild. And they seem to be doing perfectly fine. I've done enough research and watched enough Discovery to know that this is the best thing I can offer my animals. Alright guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Over and out.